Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.
Yeah, I do. It was complicated, and it was really interesting working with Kelvin, and I just asked him so many questions because I was like, I guess part of it was realizing how little I know and being like, okay, tell me like what is going on, and learning American history and learning what I guess the whole time I was just realized that I wanted to be in a position of as receiving as much information as I could, and in the end it kind of like came back around where because how I started was like everyone's equal, it doesn't matter what your skin color is, but then I wanted to understand I guess my history as a white person and what I would carry with me unconsciously because of that, and then coming to be aware of all of the like minutiae of like, oh, I haven't been frisked, or I haven't, had a teacher not pay attention to me because of the color of my skin, or like the tiny things that I haven't come up against because of my skin color, and being aware of like how that might have subtly affected me, to then let it all go and be like, okay, so we like to be able to own the different backgrounds and then, come to back to the same thing of like, it doesn't matter now because we've acknowledged all of that. And and that was sort of what I would talk with Kelvin about, and yeah.
Not enough.
Yeah, not enough.
Not enough. And I think that's what's scary, and I think that's what's important about the show, and that, putting on screen that revolution, an attempted revolution, which certainly made a difference, right? But we've taken steps backwards, is so important, because I hope in this time, speaking to what's going on, using the 60s and that revolution as a backdrop, there can be some hope and some encouragement that things could change. Because if we see this revolution on screen, it's kind of like taking a breather a little bit and just going, Yeah. We'll identify with making mistakes, and making mistakes that and I hope this will happen, as I've said throughout the character, mistakes that I would like to realize were mistakes and then change. Otherwise, I don't identify with him in a lot of ways, but I like to try and just put the young man part in there, the young man who's trying to figure out who the hell he is.
It's tricky, but I guess being a romantic was how I identified with her, and in the same way she's trying to break away from her family and find her own identity. And the thing about being colorblind, where she's just in love and she doesn't care, she's just adores Teddy and wants to be with him, but then she's going through these challenges of realizing that she's putting him in danger by being with him, and going into his world and realizing how privileged she is, and how like the huge differences that they would have to overcome to be together. And that was really interesting because it made me so aware of the privileges that that have come with the growing up in Australia and getting a good education and the things that the history of the world have created, and wanting to change things, and wanting, as she's realizing it, Stella's becoming more of a revolutionary. And it makes me feel really sick whenever I think about it, and whenever I think about why the world is set up the way it is right now.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerds. Better shake your booties for black girl nerds.